know about you guys, but I have a ton of black cardstock scraps, and I'm never quite sure what to do with them. They're way too good to throw away, but then again, they just sit there. So today I decided to challenge myself to turn some of these scraps into something elegant. I'll be using 3D embossing, a little silver metallic detail, and keeping the design really simple but dramatic. Let's see if we can turn black scraps into a card that feels anything but basic. Hey everyone, it's Lean from ColoradoLean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. My idea is going to start off with the Stamps of Life square dies from Stephanie Bernard. And I'm going to pick out some cardstock that will fit this 1 3/4 inch square. Now I want 3 pieces, and I'd kind of like it to be the heavier 110-pound card. So this will give me 1 piece. Let's set that aside. This one's flimsy. Okay, this one will give me 3 pieces. And then I want to use some of this linen texture cardstock that I have. I get this from my local print shop here in town. And I just need like a 2-inch wide piece or thereabouts. So this one will work. So let's get this cleaned up, back in the scrap bin, and then we'll get started on our card. To get this piece of cardstock ready for die cutting, I am going to cut this down a little bit. If I'm going to be running a piece through a couple times, I'd rather not run it through whole like this. So I'm just going to cut 3 pieces. So as I mentioned before, this square die is approximately 1 3/4 inch square. And I'm going to mat this with a little bit of that textured cardstock that I showed you. And I'm just going to cut this down to 2-inch squares. I'm going to set these 2 matte pieces aside for the moment. And then I am going to head over to the Sizzix Big Shot and cut these out, and I'll be right back with you. Now that I have my 3 squares trimmed down, I'm going to bring in the Altenew Garden Rose 3D embossing folder. And I am just going to place these in different areas so that I can just get some of the roses and some of the leaves. All right, I have 2 of my squares in here. This 3rd one I want to put right here, so I'm going to do that one in a moment. And I'm going to bring in my Sizzix Big Shot. Now to do the Altenew 3D embossing folders, we need the base plate, and we need tab number 2. And then we will put in our embossing folder, and then we need a cutting plate on top. And there are 2 of our panels. So I'm going to get this last one lined up. And run through. Now these alone would be really pretty. I'll just line this one up real quick so you can have a little peek at that. Okay, so that would be really pretty on a card front. However, let's take this to the next level with some Metallic Distress Crayons from Tim Holtz. In my first attempt at this idea, I tried taking the crayon and rubbing it over the embossed image and then buffing it out with my finger. And I really did not like how that looked. As you can see, there are some really harsh lines on there, and that is not what I have in mind. So in order to bring out this detail, I have just a little palette here. It is stained with some watercolor. And I am just going to color onto here with my brushed pewter. And then I'm going to pick some up with my finger and then brush it over the panel. Now this is going to hit the highlights. It also may get a little bit on the recessed parts. And for me, that is fine. It's not a harsh color. So it's basically just highlighting the entire panel. So let me show you a before and after. And you can see just how much that embossed image just pops right out now. So I think I want to put just a little bit more on here, just kind of layer it up a little bit. And then I'm also going to do the other two panels, and I'll be right back with you. All right, all three pieces are finished. Now there is absolutely nothing you need to do to set this. You just need to let it dry. However, cleanup is incredibly easy. I'm just going to bring in my dirty rag and a little bit of water. And then I'm also going to clean up my mat here. To add a little bit more silver into our card, I am going to be using the Garden Rose Altenew stamp set. And I'm just going to use a simple little hello. So I have another little scrap of black Recollections card. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned that or not. These little pieces are 110-pound Recollections card. So because I'm going to do some heat embossing with some Stampendous Ultra Detail silver embossing powder. This is a silver opaque. I definitely want to get out my anti-static bag. It's been a very weird winter so far in Colorado. And just in the last month, it's gotten really staticky around here. And I don't understand why. So I am going to place that in there. Get out my teeny tiny little hello. And you know what? I'm going to do that this way, so I don't have to trim as much. Just going to drop that in there. Use my little pokey tool to kind of nudge things around. All right, that looks good. I'm also going to be using VersaMark. And I do not want to press down hard at all. If you press down too hard on these little stamps, then you're just going to mush everything together. All right, I think that is good. So I will get the MISTI out of the way. And just as I suspected, there is quite a bit of static on here. So I'm very carefully going to try and brush this away. Oops. Well, I think I just mucked that one up. So well. And if it gets really bad, I have enough black scraps that I can do this multiple times. And if it's not perfect, that is going to be okay as well. I think we all know perfection does not live in my craft room. Okay, I am going to see how that looks. And before I do anything else, I'm going to put this back in the jar and get the lid on it so I don't tip it over. This is a pretty good size scrap, but I'm still going to hold it with my reverse tweezers. And I'm going to heat it up with my Wagner heat tool. And that turned out nice. I think I like that one. Let's bring our trimmer in one more time and get this trimmed down. I do have some more scraps from the textured cardstock, and I am going to make a little mat for this. This is always tricky, trying to line up little pieces like this. So let's just bring it down here to the middle where we can see it a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to be mad if this isn't 100% perfect. I am just going to live with what I get. I think I might take just the tiniest little bit off the side there. There, I'll line that up at 1 inch. Okay. I think that's going to be good. And this is a little bit over 1/4 of an inch. Not quite 3/8 of an inch. This is one thing I like to do. If I have an odd size scrap like this one is measuring out to be, I don't know, maybe 2 5/8 inch. I will usually square this up so that it is 2.5 inches. And then that way I can personally have a better chance of getting it the size that I need, especially since this is not a perfect 1/4 of an inch. So now this is 2.5 inches. So there's 1/4. Let's just take it out to 2. And see what that looks like. It could be too big, but then again, it could be perfect. Okay, I had my little hello cut to 1 inch. So let's just see what 1 1/4 looks like. I think I like this. Let me see if I can hold it up for you. So it's a little bit long on both sides. So it's like 1/8 of an inch on the ends, but on the top and bottom, it's like about 1/16 of an inch. I think you can tell the difference there. I'm not sure. I like that. I can always do a little extra trimming up if I need to. To adhere everything together, I'm going to be using Barely Art Precision Glue. Let's see, I think I want to bring my white paper in just for a little bit more contrast so I can see what's going on. And then I'm also going to use the Barely Art glue on my embossed panels. Now, I don't mind if the embossing gets squished down a little bit on here because I do have it defined with the crayon. For my card base, I am using 110-pound Recollections cardstock. I did not have a piece of this large enough already pre-cut, so I'm going to trim this down to 5.5 inches. And then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. When I score my cardstock, after I run the score line, I like to turn it over so that the mountain fold is on the inside. And then I'm going to line it back up in the top corner to help me fold it. So there are 2 things that I've always thought were a little off about Recollections. One, it's not always cut square, and it's a little bit bigger than 8.5 by 11. As you can see, hopefully see here, this is not square. I have a straight and even line here on the right-hand side, but it is off on the left-hand side, and it's longer. I wish Recollections would fix that, but I have been using this cardstock for years, and it's still the same. So I am going to put this in here, and I'm going to fix it. So I have it lined up at 5.5. Now, because this is 110-pound, when I have it folded, it is more. So this could take a little bit more pressure to get this end cut. But not today. And then again, I'm going to turn it over so I can see and line it up at 4 1/4 and just remove that edge. Okay, it is time to put our card together. I'm going to burnish this down just a little bit more. See if I can't get it to stay put. And I'm going to bring my palette back in just to kind of lighten things up a little bit. My plan for this is to stagger my flowers. Let's see. Kind of like that. And then I'm going to put my hello right there in the middle. So let's go ahead and start with our first one. And I'm going to give this an 1/8 inch border. I think for this I'm going to use a little bit of score tape and the wet glue, because I really want these panels to stay. As I mentioned, I'm going to have about an 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I have my score tape, and then I will also be using some Barely Art glue, and that will allow me to move this around and get it into place. And I do apologize if my head gets in the way. Okay, to line up my hello. Okay, so I want it, right about there, give or take. That looks pretty good. Okay, it might be a little high, but that is okay. And then now I can just line this third piece up here on the side. All right, there we go. I have to say, I absolutely love how this card turned out. The soft metallic silver lightly catching the raised roses from the 3D embossing adds just enough shine without overpowering the black. It gives the whole design an elegant, almost dramatic feel. And this simple hello heat embossed in silver, I think is the perfect finishing touch. It keeps the card clean and lets the texture and metallic detail do all the work. I also really like the subtle difference between the smooth black cardstock and the linen textured matte. It's not something that jumps out right away, but it does add another quiet layer of interest. And I think those little details make such a difference. And the best part, this all started with scraps. Okay, so be honest. How big is your black cardstock scrap pile right now? And would you try this in silver, gold, or maybe even another metallic on these embossed panels? I'd really love to hear your ideas. Thank you so much for spending some creative time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss the next project. I'll see you soon.